So the new faucet came with hoses. I really wasn't thinking about that. So I need to disconnect the hoses down here at the faucets, there and there, and pull them off so the new hose can drop through and just reconnect straight to the faucets. So I'm going to do that without filming because it's pretty easy. You just take a crescent wrench. The water's already shut off down below it, so I know no water's going to come out, and I just unscrew it. And then you can just get it loose enough that you can take it off by hand, which I'm doing right now, to this outside one, which is the cold water. And boom, it's off. And it's leaking a little bit, so I'll drain it into here best I can. Pull that out, now I'll get the other one, and then I'll clean up my mess. Shout out to whoever invented this. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. So these come with the hoses already. This hose right here is for the sprayer. You can see the sprayer being pulled in and out. It'll go up once it's underneath the sink and reconnect to that with a quick connect. But this, instead of having to screw the whole thing on to hold this in place, you don't have the two pieces sticking out with the wing nuts like I took off on the other one. You push this up like that, then you push it up. It's got a spring-loaded top here, and you just push that up tight and then start turning it, and it locks in. To unscrew it, it's got grip on it. You just unscrew it till it pops off. That is brilliant. I want to thank whoever did that. That's going to make this job so much easier. Thank you. All right, so I got two plates here. I've got the bottom plate that'll sit right on here, covering up the other two holes, making it kind of pretty. We're going to see the old. It is so wore in. I kind of scrubbed it down with the light steel wool there from that you use to scrub dishes. But what I'm going to do is put these up and feed the hoses through, and then that'll just sit there. So you'll see a little of the old one, which is kind of a bummer. And you'll see a little of the old ring here too, because the plug doesn't cover it. But that'll be good enough for us. This is an old sink. We plan on getting rid of this so we can just pop this new faucet out later, put a new sink in when we put new countertops in as well. Let's pause this for a second. So I've threaded all four hoses through the two pieces, and I'm going to pull them up into place. Then I'm going to go ahead and get this ready, and I'm going to feed all the hoses down through this hole one by one so they don't buckle up against each other. And then feed that down, and then put this down. And see if I can get this all to line up. Now it says that I should be using silicone underneath this plastic piece here. The old one didn't have it. It never leaked. We're not that sloppy when we do our dishes. We're not splashing too much water up. Once this gets pulled tight, it should be pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on just kind of temporary here. I'm going to feed that back in. And that's basically where it needs to be. So now I need to get underneath there. And let's see if I can hold this up somehow. Nope. Get underneath there and put this mount up on it and screw it tight. So we'll just leave this sit for a second, and I should be able to reach under there and grab it. I have got my pillows in place, so I'm a wimp, and I'm gonna make it so it's more of a flat area to lie here as I crawl underneath here. Now I'm gonna feed this piece on here. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm going to feed that through. And I'm going to pull this into place as best as I can upside down here. And hopefully you can see kind of what I'm doing is I'm feeding this up. Made sure that the proper side was up. And then I'm going to pull this down into place as best I can and see if I can reach up in here. Get that all the way up, push it tight, and start turning it. And looks like I got it. And I'm going to kind of snug it up. And I'm going to go up above here real quick. Pull myself out. And straighten it all out. Straighten the sink out. Actually, that's pretty good right there. I did not think that was going to be straight at all. I'm going to turn it. And hopefully not turn it too much when I start to tighten it up again. I got it pretty much. I got where the faucet head sticks out pretty much straight on. Now I'm pulling on these hoses very lightly to hold me in place while I tighten this up, but I don't want to pull on them too much. And then just tighten that up, and now it should be nice and snug. I'm not going to go too tight. And as you can see, you can't even see the brass fitting the threads through there anymore. So hopefully that holds pretty good right there. We'll see how that does. So something they didn't talk about in the manual was the fact that this has a stopper built into it, both that way and this way. You can see it stops there and it stops here. So when you're installing something like this, double check that. We're going to put that in the middle of both stops. Hopefully that's right about in the middle. And then Truly's here now, so she can help me out. What she's going to do is grab the bottom plate, which doesn't spin with this piece. This bottom piece doesn't. So I'm going to go underneath, loosen it, spin the whole thing till it's lined up in the center here. Then she's going to hold the bottom so I can tighten it up. So we're going to do that right now, and we'll come back in a second to show you how it looks. So what Truly did was she put her hands on this plate here, because you can see it shifts slightly. So she kind of held that in place and then put her fingers on this bottom ring, which these are not connected and these are not connected. This is connected to the whole unit, while this spins freely and this can spin freely too. But you can see there's a dead stop there. There's a dead stop there. Now it's centered. Here's the dead stop there. There's the dead stop there. It's a little off still. I might be able to just spin it just slightly, but it's good enough for us. So now you can pull the faucet into both sinks. So they don't mention that in the manual, so make sure you take note of that if you're putting one of these kind of faucets in. What we're going to do is we're going to take these two hoses right here, that one and we're going to go ahead and connect it to that. You can see someone had used Teflon tape on this before, which you don't need to do, because if you look up inside there, there is a rubber washer. So sorry, it's rocking back and forth, but you don't need to really put the Teflon tape on. Since it's on there, I'm going to leave it on there instead of taking it off. But let's go ahead and see about putting these on. All right, hopefully this won't get in the way. I know that this is my hotline because it says hot right there. And I just made note in my head that the piece of tape was down. Now I'm going to be very careful not to turn the water on via this thing here while this is the on-off switch. These are horrible on-off switches, but I'm going to feed that on top of there and just start screwing it till I get it snug with my fingers. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on here. And once it gets snug, then I'm going to take my crescent wrench here. It's better to have an open face wrench, but I got enough room here that I can use this crescent wrench. It might be even better to have a smaller crescent wrench as well. But now I'm spinning the hose slightly, which isn't exactly great, but I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use my thumb against this on-off switch just to hold the bottom from spinning while I get this top tight, because unfortunately, there's really no place to put a second wrench down here to hold it in place, which is kind of a bad design. It's a little bit squared off, but this is kind of in the way. So I'm just going to do the best I can and hope that rubber seal does its job and doesn't and seals it up and it doesn't leak when I turn it on. We'll find out in a little while. So there's the hot. Now I'm going to take the cold water line, do the same thing. I'm going to put that on there. Just screw it on by hand. Goes on pretty easy. Now this one I could get a second wrench on too, because there is a brass fitting right here to help that. But let's see if I could just go ahead and snug it up pretty good like this. It takes like 2 or 3 half-quarter turns here before it starts getting really tight. But I might have to grab the other one in the back with a vice grip. It feels like someone has already done that. There's actually kind of teeth marks on it, like someone had grabbed a vice grip and tightened it. But you don't want to over tighten these either. If it's got that rubber stopper in there, that should do it. Now what I did here was, if I'm going this way and it's getting too tight, I can go this way and I can flip it, and it gives me more leverage. See, now I flip it the other way, get more leverage going this way, and then see how I can't go any further. So if I flip the wrench over, I got all this extra room to move now. And that's pretty tight right there. So we're going to leave that alone. And let's move on to the next piece here. Okay, now I'm going to take this quick connect hose, which feeds back down from inside the faucet. I'm going to start by taking this clip here. I'm going to feed it in between so it's feeding back into the same path as itself. It's not wrapping around either of these other two wires. And then I'm going to, you can see this is the receiver and that is the piece, and it should just clip into place. There it is. I just pushed it up, I heard it click, and now it's down. So now I'm going to take the weight, I'm going to connect the weight that comes with the hose here, and when you pull the faucet out up above, it can feed out that much, and then the weight will pull it back into place this way. This is the spot right here. It says put weight here. So there's two pieces with the weight assembly that go with it. One of them is this little plastic thing here, and it does say up. There's a flange at the bottom, and it says up. So the flange is at the bottom. You want to put that around the hose. You want to put the hose inside there, right on top of that piece of tape. And then I'm going to take the actual weight, which doesn't matter. It's the same on both sides. I'm going to put that above it and then slide the actual plastic piece I put on the hose here up into it till it's in there. And then the flange that's at the bottom won't allow the weight to keep going down. And what the weight does, when you put the plastic piece up inside the weight slot, it pinches it enough that it's grabbing onto this hose, and there it is. You can see it hanging there, and I will show you. That's fully seated, and this is how far you can pull it out, and then it pulls it back down. So let's take a look at the top here, and you can see I can pull it out that far now, spray around, and then boom, it holds it in place. Halfway decent. It's not the greatest. It could be a little heavier maybe, the weight. So the only thing I have left is this plug, which is sold separately. You can buy these at Home Depot or Lowe's. We shop at Lowe's because they do a lot less work on the aisles during the daytime and they don't get in your way. And this plug is pretty simple. It comes in a plastic bag. You put it right there, and I push it down so those teeth on the back grab onto the metal edge right here. It's really tight. It might be too big for this hole. There we go. Oof. I had to really pound that thing.
It's in there forever now.
Now it's in there. All right, there we go. So as you can see, it's not, our sink isn't that pretty anyways. That's why we want to replace it. There's some rust on it and stuff. So let me turn the water on and see if we can get this baby working. All right, we're going to turn the water on and see if this baby's working now. One of the things it said to do is, because there's a screen in here and there's some other stuff in there that could get clogged up with sediment, it says to go ahead and unscrew this from the hose so you can bleed the line out and make sure that when, because you disconnected a hose, make sure that the water is just shooting out of that baby right there. So what I'm going to do is, if you want to grab a hand on that now, I'm going to go ahead and switch with her. And the water shut off here to start with. So I'm going to go down here and turn the waters on here. I'm going to turn the cold on first. There's the cold. Now I'm going to have to pull the hot up, so I'm going to have to put the phone down. So let's go up and take a look at that when I get this water on. Now I got the water on. It just took me a second, but I want to test these lines real quick. Make sure there's no water coming out down here. And it looks like it's pretty dry. I don't see any drips. I'll check it again in a few minutes here. But now let's go up above. I'll shut this off. And we'll spend a minute bleeding this line out. So basically turn this on. You can see it's coming out that hose. Pretty powerful. I'll turn it down just a little bit. So there's our hot water. There's our cold water. So we'll make sure that hot is hot. And I'll just wait for it to warm up a little bit here. And basically what we're doing is, like I said, we're blowing any sediment out of the line. Okay, that's getting hot, so that means I got the right hose hooked up to the right thing, and that's cold. Now let's turn that down a little bit. So that shuts off real nice. There's no leaks up here. There's no leaks down below. And as that's running, we're going to let that run for a little while and blow any, you know, it's kind of calcium rocks. It's kind of weird. There's like these calcium rocks and they can clog up your screen. Sorry, just turned on the headlamp. Once again, I'm not seeing any water on this one. You kind of put your finger around the outside and just feel it and see if there's water on your fingertips. And this one is dry as well, so that's good. Then I'm going to go ahead and look up here and make sure there's no drips coming out of the actual faucet, just in case there's a manufacturer defect. And we'll check this floor here to make sure there's no water on it for the next few days, just as a safety precaution. That should be good enough for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece right now and I'm going to screw it back on there. And I'm going to put that on pause while we do this. So when I took this off a second ago, I kept spinning this when I realized this is actually a nice free flying unit, and then I can grab it and tighten it on there like that. But let's go ahead and test it. There it is. Then here's spray mode, faucet mode, spray mode. And it's just a little button that's underneath here. You can see that, and there's spray mode and faucet mode. It won't turn on unless you've got the water running. It's just like a click grab. Let's go. Regular faucet, spray mode, and now we don't have to deal with that extra piece that was over here.
Yay!
And once again, we're not leaking under here. Looking pretty good, and everything's hanging. You can see where that weight's hanging, and that's it, guys. I know this is a long video, but hopefully that helps you out if you're trying to do this on your own. And if you want to check out some of our other videos, I'll put like how to hang a mirror right there. And then you can check out our channel. We have over 1,200 videos right there. And we really appreciate you, you watching the video. And we'll see you on the next one. Woo!